the Spirit Sessions podcast. I'm your guide, Katie Silcox, bringing you your weekly self-love soundbite. Join us, where I'll help you find your true spiritual home, where every single aspect of you is holy ground, holy ground, holy ground, holy ground.
This is a Spirit Session podcast with Katie Silcox. Venga chicos, empezamos.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hi everyone, Katie here. This podcast is intended to inspire you, educate you, and most importantly, support you on your journey towards knowing who you really are, that inner self, that inner teacher. I am not a psychologist or a medical doctor and do not offer professional health or medical advice on this podcast. If you are suffering from any kind of psychological or medical issue, please do the right thing and seek help from your qualified health professional. Hey everyone. How are you out there in podcast land? It is your Ayurveda Gal Friday, accompanied by my puppy Ojas, who's not so much a puppy anymore, although she is behaving like one lately. So I am apologizing ahead of time if you hear some barks. We just moved into a new house and things have been really fun and really exciting, but we don't have a lot of furniture and she's very confused and a little bit vated out. So apologies ahead of time, but I wanted to get this podcast out. It's been percolating in my heart and my mind. And, I think important content, especially as we move into the fall season, the season of the leaves, right, falling and the skin shedding and the old ways aren't working anymore. And in the words of the great mystic poet, comic Chris Farley, fat guy in a little coat, the jacket isn't fitting anymore, ladies. We have to upgrade. We have to put on something that fits a little better. And so today's podcast is very, very, very near and dear to my heart. And quite frankly, still a little tender for me. But before we get into it, just a couple of quick announcements. First of all, today is sponsored by the amazing female-led small business women power Pavani Ayurveda. If you have been feeling the effects of this fall season known as the Vata season, and that can show up like your appetite's a little weird, you've got some dry skin, you find a little bit more mind anxiety, you might have a little bit of Vata going on, and I think it would be a great time for all of us to get back into our Ayurvedic daily routines, to be grounded and connected to our bodies, our mind, our spirit. And our girlfriends over at Pavani Ayurveda, they have got what you need to help you integrate the Ayurvedic wisdom that we talk about all the time on this podcast and in Shakti school. They have got your back. You can seamlessly integrate everything from tongue scrapers to oil pulling to dosha-specific spice blends, abhyanga oils, and a 3-step skincare system. Pavani has something for everyone this fall. As I said, it's women-owned, and these ladies take pride in the most important thing, which is sourcing organic ingredients to create their mindfully formulated herbal offerings. And they're super sweet and they're super beautiful inside and out. They are giving you, dear listener, a discount code, Spirit Sessions. It's in the show notes. Use the code Spirit Sessions for 10% off your order with them at pavaniayurveda.com. So head over there. I use all their stuff. I love it. Their golden milk's amazing. I'm a big fan of the ashwagandha coconut milk bath. The body oil is awesome. It's the Vata season, you guys. Time to invest in our daily routine. And guys, this is it. October's coming, and guess what? That means this is your last chance. You only have a few more weeks to get your sweet little booty into Ayurveda school. Level 1 starts in January, but the lowest price ends very, very soon. So If you know you want to do Ayurveda school, you've been listening to the podcast for a while, it's not just an Ayurveda certification program. It is a program about soul, about spirit, about living with meaning and purpose, about preventative healthcare and timeless women's wisdom. It's all there for you. Lady Life School. It's going to be our best year ever. The women that come to this program are absolutely world legendary, kind, smart plus heart, which is what I always say. So October is it, guys. If you want to come for the cheapest price that it will ever be, you got to get in now. Again, link in the show notes to our early bird pricing. If you want to talk to a real human woman who has done the program, we have a whole host of health coaches that are willing to sit down with you for 30 minutes if you want and talk to you and tell you about their experience and how it's changed their lives and really what it is. All right, ladies. So on to the show. Today's topic is the most important topic. And that is, how in the holy hot hell do I deal with heartbreak? I recently underwent one of those moments in life where you feel like you get like whopped upside the head with the God stick. You know what I mean? Those moments when in life when like I was already sort of feeling like, oh, this is kind of my growth edge. I'm right here. You know, this is a lot. I'm taking on a lot. I'm doing a lot. I'm downloading a lot. I'm healing a lot. Like, this is my edge. And then life comes along and says, no, you're nowhere near your edge. In fact, your edge is like 6 miles down the road. And I went through a real heartbreak. During the heartbreak, I didn't want to share too much because that's sort of my process. I like to kind of go in and do the very, very personal work around it and then come out the other side and maybe share some gold if I found any with you all. I was even like thinking, oh, you know, maybe I won't share about this quite yet or ever. And then I remembered one of my teachers. Her name is Pema Chodron, and she tells a story in one of her books, and I'm paraphrasing, but she told a story about her own most intense heartbreak, and it has remained with me like a talisman. And I come back to it every single time I feel like my heart is too broken. And in that story, Pema shares that one day she came home from somewhere and she had a cup of tea in her hand. And she walked up, and I think in the story, her husband walked out. And so they were standing in the front yard, and I might be getting this totally wrong, but this is how I remember it. And he said to her, I want a divorce. And it was really surprising to her. And she went into shock. And like the teacup falls out of her hand, and like her whole world spun, her whole world changed. And she talks about that as the real moment when she really realized the dedication of her life to her practice, to freeing herself from unnecessary suffering, and to really launching her into the woman that she is now, which is obviously, you know, such a global teacher of love and peace and the best, I think, aspects of the Buddhist tradition. I also think of a friend of mine who lost her husband, and we were speaking about this experience, and what was so impactful from listening to her story was that when she lost her best friend, her partner, her husband, it wasn't just the grief of that loss that was experienced. It was every single loss she had ever had in her life. Her dog, her mother, her father, her grandparents. It was as if a door had opened in the very back of her heart where all of the past grief had been stored. When we go through heartbreak, whether it's a divorce, a breakup, a death, a job loss, an illness, a betrayal. When we go through that, what I've come to realize and what these teachings share with us is that we are not only living this moment, we are living in a way, an archetype, a pattern from our past. We are living out all of the unprocessed feeling from time immemorial within us that has been stored in our heart. And the more we open to the heartbreak, the more painful it can kind of be. I mean, I would say the more painful it will be. And that might seem like a deterrent to feeling, but it's quite the opposite. And in the paradox lies this medicine. The more we open the heart, especially during times of heartbreak, the more painful it is. The more raw it is, the more soft, the more vulnerable. It's truly can be cataclysmic and terrible. I don't mean to candy coat it. But what we can take comfort in when we have a heartbreak and we do the really courageous thing. And when I went through this personal moment of heartbreak, I really staked my claim. I really saw, and this was super cool, and it felt like a different way of doing heartbreak. I saw this real opportunity in it. And I know that might sound Pollyanna. It wasn't. But it was this stance of, honestly, self-dignity of saying, you know what? I'm going to use this. It is so earthquaking and earth-shattering that I refuse to hold this inside of me in packets of storage in a back room where it'll get dusty and broken down. I want this thing to be alive in me. I want it to burn me. I want it to shatter me. I want it to melt me. I want it to drop me off from the abyss that it feels like I'm being dropped into. And I want to feel my groundlessness. I don't want to waste this opportunity. Because that's what heartbreak is. And it's grueling. It's boot camp of the body. It's boot camp. You are literally crawling through mud and barbed wire threatens you above. But the great thing about the boot camp of the heart is that it makes you a really, really strong warrior. Another amazing thing about heartbreak is that it connects us to the universal heart. And it's a process. And it's super personal and it's individual. And I know it's trite, but it's got its own life cycle. It's got its own digestive process. It takes the time it takes. And we are given the task of walking the very fine line between opening to the feeling and wallowing in it, which isn't super helpful. And that's really what it means to be a wise woman, to know the difference between opening to something and letting it swallow you, to know the difference between opening to something and becoming fully identified with it. I taught a workshop this weekend with a group of 20-some women. It was just absolutely wonderful and honestly, such medicine for my heart. And in that workshop, I was reminded of this Buddhist definition of awareness. What does it mean, this holy, sacred thing that we're all practicing in and for called awareness? And you can imagine it as a bird with two wings. And the wing on the left is the wing of see what's here. And the wing on the right is open to it. This is the practice for everything in life, but especially for heartbreak. In heartbreak, we are given the opportunity and the task to see what's in the back of the heart, hidden, and to open to it, to see what's here and to open to it. to see what's here and to continue opening. So how does this look in daily life? It's messy, it's stressful, it's ugly, it's beautiful. And for me, what was super supportive and has been in working through heartbreak is to realize that there are going to be moments in the day when you have to put on your big girl panties and your persona and go to work. And there are going to be moments where you have to put on your big girl panties and make your kids breakfast and lunch and take your dog on a walk and put your clothes on. And, life goes on, as they say. And there's a certain amount of armoring and steeling oneself and getting through. And the phrase is holding it together. And I don't want to just gloss over it because that's not how I talk and that's not how I am. Y'all know that. I keep it real. And let me tell you, you got to armor up. You got to freaking get your shit together. You've got responsibilities for many of us, right? And you need to do that. And so there's a certain amount of getting by and getting through it, and holding it together is a wonderful phrase that's just required. And that isn't the best place to do the work of healing the heart. So while we may need to keep it together, and, I had a lot going on and had to do things and work and teach, but that's why it's even more vital and important that when we aren't holding it together, we carve out these periods of time when we're working through heartbreak to not hold it together, to process, to lay down and to really feel. So my advice is to allow periods of time for processing, periods of time where you can give yourself almost an intentional falling apart. I remember Dr. Svoboda saying, when things are chaotic, this is not the time to freak out. And when things are calm, you can freak out. But when things are chaotic, it is the time to remain very, very calm. I thought that's so it. To give yourself these conscious, intentional periods of freaking out, of falling apart, of crying, of yelling, of painting, of dancing, of calling your friend, of having a support, right? Your therapist, your parents, your friendships, whatever it is. But for me, it's almost always a very intimate thing, this falling apart. It's only when we aren't holding it together in heartbreak that crack, because it really does feel like a glass shattering. It's a necessary shattering. It's an acknowledgement of the shattering. It's an acknowledgement of that feeling of being broken open. There is a quality of trembling in that. There's a quality of loss of control in that. And the teachings say, let yourself feel that feeling of the shake, of the tremble, of it not being structured. And I think that's what I know I can see it in my students that we're all so afraid of. If I stop and feel, I'm going to feel how scary this is. I'm going to feel the truth. The truth is that we are not in control, and we would be very well served in our lives if we would get on the side of truth. Get on the side of reality, lest reality show up to live with you. This is one of the central premises of Tantra. We want to be in what's true and what's here and what's real, whether it be your physicality or the realm of the subtle. To be in what is here is to be in what is holy, and to be in what is holy is to be healed. And that's how I've work through my recent unexpected heartbreak. Practically, getting grounded is everything, and getting grounded means you are able to feel your awareness in the base of your body, your legs, your pelvic floor. And we work on the inhale. So on the inhale, the pelvic floor opens and you feel your awareness, your focus drop into the earth itself. And on the exhale, you allow earth, which is the element of the mothering of all of us, to come up and fill you. So as I inhale, I go all the way down my own body and into the ground. And as I exhale, I let that earth come up. And so that practice, that's getting grounded. It's just that simple. Go all the way down yourself into the earth, and then let the earth come all the way up into you. Even if you just let it come up to your belly, that's a start. But what I've realized in this recent life karma explosion is that there's only one thing that is big enough to hold my feelings. And I'm not special, but I do have big feelings. I mean, I'm a big energy. And the thing is, so are you. And some of you might be hiding, but you are too, because that's how God made us. We are emotional creatures. And the emotions, by definition, emotion, energy in motion, they need to flow. And the thing is, nobody can hold how big they are for us. I mean, some people are freaking amazing, right? Like y'all know, my teacher, my therapist, I've got a couple killer best friends, and maybe they can begin to just sit with you in it. But at the end of the day, the only thing that can hold it with you for real is the earth. Lay your belly on the belly. Lay down on the ground and let her breathe it out of you. Oh, man. Some feelings can only be held by something as big as the gravitational pull. So that was really supportive for me to be reminded of, get grounded and what that really means. And calling in your spiritual support, please help me be with this heartbreak. Help me learn how to be with my own heart that's breaking. Obviously, all the things, exercise, nature, creative outlet, sauna, massage. You guys know what to do, right? On that physical realm. But I think what I want to share, and that was on my heart so heavily in a good way to share with you all, that I could perhaps be of service to any of you out there that are going through something heartbreaking, or who will, because it's always coming at some point. It's our human connection. That this heartbreak for me was different. I felt so connected to a loving, soulful, guiding force that was saying, don't waste this opportunity. And obviously you can hear there's still just so much emotion in me, but the emotion is one of gratitude. And here's why. There's an ancient practice in the Buddhist tradition called Tonglen, and it's something like this. Feel the claustrophobia. Feel the heartbreak. Feel the loneliness as you inhale into your heart so fully. Breathe it in. Breathe it in, not only yours, but everyone's. Breathe it in, not only yours, but everyone who's undergone exactly what you're going through right now. And as you breathe out the medicine. As you breathe in, take on the collective human heartbreak. And as you breathe out what would be the medicine. And I know that might seem counterintuitive. It's like, oh, hell no, Buddhism. Seriously? You want me to breathe in the universal feeling of being heartbroken? But you'll see this, that as you do that, you depersonalize it. You take it out of the constricted sphere that's contracted and solidified around your own small experience, which is valid, but it's just this tiny slice of reality. And when you breathe in the everyone who's going not only through it in the past, but going through it now, somewhere on the planet, you connect to a web of your friends called other humans. And you breathe it in. And in that moment, your energy is expanded instead of contracted. And as you breathe out, you access the global archetype of the healer, the global archetype of the medicine, the global compassion. Hafiz says, don't surrender your loneliness so quickly. Let it cut you more deep. Let it ferment and season you as few humans and divine ingredients can. Something missing in my heart tonight has made my eyes so soft, my voice so clear and tender, my need for God absolutely transparent. And that's it. The poets express something through poem that cannot quite yet be articulated. And Hafiz, for me, really accesses that feeling. Heartbreak will visit us all. Neruda says, if each day falls inside each night, there exists a well where clarity is imprisoned. We need to sit on the rim of the well of darkness and fish for fallen light with patience. And with that, I will leave you, dear listener. If you're out there and heartbroken, I'm with you. I see you. I get it. I feel you. And be patient. Be willing to sit on the rim of your own well of this that feels like the unbearable, and know that there is light there. Have patience. A big special thanks to Kevin Carlisle of Goodbye Gemini, who wrote this beautiful podcast music, and to DJ Juan Pablo Jimenez in southern Spain for mixing it and making it magic.